Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. How is everyone doing? Welcome to the brunch table. Oh, it is good to be here. Yes. Well, what can we say? I'm here in beautiful Portland, Oregon. Um, the weather is good. The weather is good. I should probably get out today. It's the kind of weather where you need to get out. Oh, it looks like Joel Tilson is going to see Superman today. Oh, well, that sounds fun. I didn't know there was a new Superman movie, but that sounds cool. Can everybody hear and see me okay? That looks all right. Just want to make sure everybody will be able to see the cards when okay. Am I back far enough? Yeah. Welcome to brunch. How is everybody? How is everybody? Welcome, welcome. Let us take a seat. Let us join in perfect harmony. Hi, Renee. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Hi, Janice. Hi, the Sybil. Desiree Rabato in the house. Hello. Hope is in the house too. Good to see you. Now, Hope, how did you wind up with? Oh, there's two Hopes. So there's Hope Suzanne and Hope Thompson. All right, let me go ahead and figure things out here. Now that we're here, we are coming together. Let's see what we got going on here. We got to do the customization. So subscribers. Got to do our subscribers membership, all that stuff. Yeah. All right. And I think that we are going to have a fundraiser. To feed America. I think that'll be our fundraiser. We always have a fundraiser on Sunday. And Debbie Brady's in the house, future shaper, creative director, and talent management. If you're looking to revamp your brand, check out Debbie Brady. Also, check out her fan pages. Once a month, we pick somebody, a fan, to receive a free 30-minute reading, and we announce it after our Book of the Month Club, which meets monthly. So that's what's going on here. How is everybody? You good? I just finished my smoothie, my protein and greens smoothie. It was delicious. It was delicious. I also wanted to remind everyone that you still have time to get our book, In Search of the Sun, One Woman's Quest to Find Family in Japan, written by Lisa Lowitz. It's a great book. And I think you'll enjoy it. And she will be in our studios Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time with Chuck and myself after Taco Tuesdays, where we get together with authors extraordinaire and talk to them about their books. Excuse me, I have a piece of something in my throat. So If you've written a book and you would like to see if we can have you on Taco Tuesdays, interview you about the book you've written, be sure and send a copy to me, care of Whimsy Anderson, Dr. Whimsy Anderson, 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, studio or Suite 116. Did I say that right? 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. And hopefully you can, your book will be chosen as one of our book selections for the book of the month. So join your table to this one. If you want to join us, if you'd like to have brunch with us, be sure and say hello to everybody at the brunch table. This is my table, and I extend it to the four corners of the earth. We only have, what was I going to say? We only have one rule, yes. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. We make exceptions for Nazis, but for the most part, we try to be nice. Yes, fascism and Nazism and anti-Semitic propaganda is alive and well, worse than it's been in my lifetime. Oh, you like the singing? Thank you, Renee. I enjoyed singing. I was going to sing today, but I changed my mind. I woke up with a really dry left eye, and I don't know why, but it's driving me crazy. I don't know why I'm so dry. It's really weird. I drink water. Maybe I need to take even more fish oil. I don't know. Hi, Diva. You were at the, oh dear, kidney stone. That doesn't sound like fun. Time to drink vinegar water. Vinegar and honey. Copious amounts. And hot compresses. Yes. Tear duct blockage? Oh, I hope not. Oh, your eyes are dry too, like right now? Yeah, I don't know what's been causing it lately. It's weird because I think it's because I had makeup on and I fell asleep with makeup and it irritated the eyes. Did I eventually get up and wash the makeup off? But yeah, apple cider vinegar or any kind of vinegar is an acid which dissolves calcium stones. If it's a uric acid stone, that's different. Uric acid stones can be caused from consuming too much protein. People on keto diets are prone to that. Yeah. Salicylates, I'm kind of skeptical of salicylates. I really don't believe that plants with salicylates cause stones. I think it's more than likely dehydration, too much calcium from like dairy, and probably not enough physical activity. Warm compress to the eyes. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Yes. Well, how are you guys feeling about everything? How are you guys feeling about the world we find ourselves in? Aren't you glad you're not Putin? That's really, where's my pen? Aren't you glad you're not Putin? Surrounded? I got a comment from somebody complaining that sometimes I handle Hot Topics Thursdays and the Sunday brunch like a teacher. Stop asking so many questions and just read the cards. It was kind of like shut up and sing, right? This is my channel. You don't have to be here. Uh, we get together twice when we open up a discussion, and that is on the Sunday brunch and on the Thursday happy hour. And that's because this is an open forum and everyone's opinion matters. That includes Tarot Task Backwards, Joyce Pietris, Joel, of course, who is a godsend. He helps keep me organized. Janice, the Sybil, Hope Thompson, Diva369, Terry Gallant, all of you matter. And your opinions are just as important as me. And this is a brunch, and we're having brunch together. Or if you're in Europe, it's your happy hour. And so the reason that we do that, for those people who don't know what's happening, is that we're here to have brunch together and to share time and to share our feelings and our views. And it's not the same as a pre-taped 30-minute tarot reading. So if that forum doesn't work for you, and if you don't want to be part of the discussion and have your opinions heard, then you probably don't want to come to brunch. That's all. You don't need to tell me to shut up and sing or shut up and read the cards. Or I just don't like when people come here and start acting like the creative director. That's what Debbie Brady does for a living, right? That's why she was hired. And she gets paid when she gets hired, right? So if we have a problem, we hire professionals like Debbie. So let's go ahead and let's start the conversation on that happy note. I'd really like your opinion. So it has come to my attention, and I'm sure to all of you, that Putin is continuing his circular firing squad, including several of his generals being fired. And people keep falling out of windows. It's the strangest thing. I don't know what's going on there. Too much vodka, or we talked about Roman Star Voigt last week, and the fact that he was part of the he was the transportation secretary. So it was interesting when I went into his energy. They were trying to figure out who the moles were that were informing Ukrainians of what the shipments were. So anytime they shipped anything that was part of the war, someone inside the transportation agencies was informing the Ukrainians. So the movement of weapons, the movement of arms, etc., everything was being told to Ukraine, and so they had strategic bombing. They knew where everything was because they had moles inside the people that were handling transportation. You're not paranoid if people are really going after you. You know what I mean? You're not paranoid if people are really going after you. And it's obvious that for Putin, his world is becoming increasingly small. And it's interesting also when you look at the cards of Putin, he comes up with things like 9 of Wands, that he feels increasingly like he's being cornered, that he can't escape. And there is a kind of paranoia about it. The other thing that we've been talking about, and I think it got brought up here by Joel, has to do with the fact that Syria wants to be part of the Abraham Accords, and so do some of the sheiks from cities in Judea and Samaria like Hebron. They want to call it Hebron Emirates, and they want to join forces with United Arab Emirates to recognize Israel and to create. They want to be part of the trade deal. So, in answer to the question, do we think that Syria will give Israel the Golan Heights? We've already annexed the old Golan Heights. We took the Golan Heights, I believe it was in 1967 during the 6-Day War, when we did a first strike. We saw the Syrians and the Jordanians were preparing to attack. They were constantly thinking about how they were going to drive us in the sea, but it never works out for them. And instead of driving us into the sea, we pushed back 3 armies in 6 days. It was kind of the miracle of the 6-day war: Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. And the Golan Heights were incredibly vulnerable because you had snipers shooting down on people. And if you have one missile firing down from the Golan Heights, that's pretty much goodbye Israel. So they took the Golan Heights, but they also took the water. So they had a water resource. And they will have to accept the fact that Israel has taken the Golan Heights because it's already been annexed. That's kind of how I feel. Joel says that reports about Kurds disarming for peace in Syria and Turkey. Yeah, and we could take parts of Syria and give it to the Kurds so that they have their own homeland. That's something we can certainly take a look at. Yeah, I think so. I think that Putin knows. It's public information now, the 5 phases. He has basically said, and so has Lavrov, that they know that this is the end game for the West. And so they have no reason not to go to the nuclear option. And this is just more proof that we have to remove this fruitcake, that there's no way of negotiating with somebody who should have nuclear weapons. Certainly not a country that doesn't have a democracy, that doesn't have stopgaps, etc. And so most people would agree that it's only a matter of time before we see the end of Putin. Yeah. Trump's crazy tariffs. This is something I wanted to talk about today, which had to do with the fact that we're finally seeing the end of MAGA. And what it looks like to me from a energetic perspective is that it's really 3 columns. So you have this dog eat dog where you have Bannon and Trump, right? And that is the old party, right? And they declared war on Musk, right? So you had Bannon and Trump declaring war on Musk, and then Musk is creating the America First. And let's face facts, they only need to get 2% of the vote to give it to the Democrats. So, oh no, don't do it. Don't do it. And yeah. And then we have a third group, which are the Nazis, right? Those are the people that basically joined the Nazi party, but they're not calling themselves that. That would be Tucker Carlson. He's kind of the new breed of Nazi. And what is her name? She lives in England now. She has no education. I don't know why anyone ever listens to her. But most of them don't. But you have these kind of new neo-Nazi right-wing podcasters. And yeah, calling for the death of Prince Harry is just one of the things they've done. But the anti-Israel group, the anti-Israel podcasters emerge. And that is the third column. And they've come out against Trump because of Trump's support of Israel. So it's quite interesting to watch this division happening. And it goes back to this conversation that it never really was going to survive because it's too destructive. It was too destructive, MAGA, to survive. But now we have this emergence of the anti-Trump, basically full-blown Nazis. Ian Carroll, yes. And yeah. Yeah, there's some interesting articles about this new phenomenon. There she is, Candace Owens. She denies that the Holocaust happened. Um, and she thinks that the Jews are in on some big conspiracy to take over the world. So she's the latest fruitcake. No, I don't think Candace Owens has any education at all. She's a grifter. They're all grifters. And hating Jews is the new Gucci, Gucci. We don't have to have the facts, but I want to be popular. I don't know anything about the Middle East, but it's Gucci to hate Jews right now. And I want to be Gucci. So it just goes to show that you too can become a Nazi if you really want to be popular. Stephen Miller or Project 25 running the country. You know, the weird thing about him is that he's a speech writer, and so he'll always have a job as a speech writer. But what's interesting about this kind of break, you see this kind of division that happens between these three groups. You know, what's going to become of this? And some of these are very militant and scary, like the Nazis that are this new kind of Nazis that are emerging. But it just basically points to the weakening. And I think the big thing also was the Epstein Files. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why they're shocked that Trump is a predator. I mean, did this stuff not get covered by the news channels that they were looking at? But I think I think it was the economy. I think it was hiding the Epstein file. And then people like Elon Musk began exposing, things, which of course we all knew about. And he knew all about and was completely okay with. He said, the more I know Trump, the more I like him. Yeah, when you're getting your needs met. But when your needs aren't getting met, goodbye Trump, right? And then all of a sudden you're whining and screaming about his Epstein ties. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that Tucker Carlson and his cronies are the scariest people. Also, what was Nick Fuentes, and who was the guy that got arrested in Romania for sex slaves? He's also a big Nazi. So he's also a chess player. His dad was a big chess player, which is interesting because chess historically had a eugenics component where they didn't believe that men of color could play chess. They thought it was proof of superiority. And so wealthy, aristocratic British men would play chess to prove their superiority to women and their superiority to other races. And of course, now we have many people of color that play chess and win world championships. So it was just another power trip that the British came up with. Was that we're superior because we play better chess than you, which of course anyone who's in touch with reality understands that it's just a board game. It's a fun board game. I play it every night before I go to bed, but yeah, so we have that aspect. Yeah, we can go ahead and look at that too. I'm thinking that she is gone. We haven't seen hide nor hair of him, so that's probably going to happen. All right. So without further ado, I think what we're going to do now, unless people have something they want to mention, or do you have anything you'd like to contribute to the brunch? Nick Fuentes. Yes. Oh, thank you. You like the backdrop. Yes. Heritage Foundation, John Birch. Well, it was all based on this Christian fundamentalism where Jews are the enemies of Jesus, so are Buddhists, anybody that isn't a Christian is the enemy, right? Epstein Mossad, unfortunately, I think, being a nice Jewish girl and an Israeli, it always breaks my heart when I hear these horrible stories, but it does appear that he was handing information over. I don't know if he was working for Mossad or if he just volunteered to give them information, but there does appear to be some truth to that. And that's disappointing. Oh, okay. Children shackled, handcuffed, and being. I can't stand what's happening. How and when will this end? Who will help? Well, we're in violate. I just see international lawsuits. There's a ton of lawsuits happening. We're in violation of our trade deals. Miller is running the ICE stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Miller is from a nice Jewish family, and he went to Santa Monica Community College and became pretty warped. I don't know what the hell's going on there. It's like the rest of his family, they say, isn't like that. So who knows what the hell happened? Maybe he drank the golden juice or something. I don't know. Yeah, there's some really crazy people. Oh, yeah, Tate. Tate became a big Nazi too. He hates women. He says, I treat them like shit, and that's why they're my puppy dogs. They do whatever I tell them because I'm a strong man and I treat them like shit. Well, I imagine they do whatever you say because you're holding them hostage as victims of human trafficking and they're minors. And so they're probably acting like puppy dogs because they've got Stockholm syndrome and they're trying to stay alive since you beat them. Yeah, housing market. We're looking at a crash in the housing market in August. That is what the remotes say. And the reason is because many people are out of work and inflation is up and they bought more house than they could afford. And it reaches a tipping point in August. So we're looking at a possible housing crash in August. Is anybody surprised? You know, if you make $5,000 a month and you bought a house for $2,200 a month, so it's really, you're cutting it short. And then you've got car payments and kid payments and groceries and everything else. And all areas are going up, everything from your food to gas to insurance. You're going to get behind. You're going to get behind, and you might be able to pull it off for 3 months, 6 months, a year. But eventually what starts to happen is one by one, people go belly up. And that's so from a remote viewer's perspective, it reaches a peak between August and October of 2025. So if you're trying to sell your house and you're in that situation, it's a problem. And the other problem is that people bought when it was high. And now we have this because of all these people that are losing their homes. So who's going to buy it? Vultures. Vultures are going to, I've got cash on the dollar. In come the vultures, right? So, of course, nobody has cash on the dollar but the vultures. So it never winds up being a deal for the rest of us, right? So that is unfortunately where we're headed. And yeah. Terry says she heard there's more talks in Gaza being turned into hotels and golf courses. Well, it would be better than the hell they live in. I mean, it was one big refugee camp. So they took all the money that people gave them and they built tunnels because Iran wanted to kill Jews, because Iran is basically a Nazi government. It's a modern Nazi government. They believe in Mein Kampf. You go to Free Palestine protest and they're doing Sig Heils to people. So they're not even hiding it anymore. So that was money where they could have built a beautiful life for the people of Gaza. And instead they built tunnels and used the people as human shields. So if you improve the economy and kick out the terrorists, that would probably be the best thing in the world. It's really not, it's much bigger than the Trump plan, because people get the impression it's just going to be Trump. And the truth of the matter is that it's the Abraham Accords going in and they manage it. So it would be every Arab country, including Israel, that has a peace treaty would go in and be responsible for the rebuild. And those people that want to be part of the Abraham Accords can live in Oasis zones, and those that don't have to live in Oasis zones. If you do it in the Oasis zones, then you're not taking any of Gaza proper. You're taking the areas, the 2-mile stretch that separates the no man's land between Israel and Gaza, in which case you wouldn't have to displace anybody. And that's definitely a good idea. At the same time, you have your first humanitarian zone probably happening in Rafah. And that makes sense because I'll show you the map, what I believe they're going to do. Here's the map again. So where it says security is Rafah. And that's the Rafah border between Egypt and Israel. And they won't open the border to let the civilians out. But 500,000 people will be able to be in a humane corridor going from Mawasi, which is over here. This is where they're being kept. And then we have fighting taking place over here in Khan Yunis. But this is where people are being kept in a humane area, and then they would go over here to this area. And then the goal is to expand it to 450 square kilometers, so that this entire area would be new space and a new city with and they would bring back the shuk, etc. So that is the goal, is that once we can get a secure perimeter and remove the weapons and Hamas and rebuild with no tunnels and anything, people that go in there are basically saying, we want peace. At that point, then Egypt is going to feel safe enough to, okay, we can open the gate to this closed perimeter and let these people in to have space. And then the transportation along the perimeter here is the area of no man's land between Israel and Gaza. And so without taking any of Gaza proper, you would be able to have people moving along this corridor in these safe zones, and that would have its own transportation system. And the people here are just regular Gazan citizens, so they can go back and they can work on the construction, etc. So that's basically how it divides up. So right now they've got the Marang corridor right about here separating north and south. And then they're going to put the people over here. Then we're going to expand with Egypt, if it all goes according to my plans. And then this over here is the north area that will open up. And this is Sderot. And we have a nice vetting system we've set up here, where we have a roundabout for additional security for the people of Sderot. And you would have to go through security clearance to get into this area. And that just includes safety for the people. They can also go back into Gaza and visit family in Gaza, or since they have security clearance, they can go into Israel. They can go into Egypt. They basically have free movement because they have security clearance. The people here can also get security clearance, if they pass security clearance. But if they don't want to be part of the rebuild, they don't have to. We can't force people to be part of the rebuild. And many people want to leave. Hundreds of thousands don't even want to live there. They're like, get me the hell out of here. And they have a right to leave. And that includes Hamas leadership and people that support terrorism probably are not going to be happy in the new Gaza. But that's the new Gaza. And you can see from an anthropological perspective, pro-nations are those people that were born in the peace zones. And it means that they are pro-Gaza, pro-Israel. They're either neutral or pro-government. And they're the people that wind up getting born here. And they would be allowed to live in either the Oasis, or they can come visit and work in Israel, or they can go visit in Gaza. They have the best rights because they've gone through the program. Each zone is a maze. It's a maze that evolves us towards unity, with the first humanitarian zone here being basic needs: hospitals, schools, food, shelter, etc. And then we evolve into like the Garden of Eden, which is the basic needs: purification of the water. This is the where the aquifer is that has been contaminated, to rebuild it so they have their own aquifer. It's kind of like nature and bringing in experts from Israel and other countries to help with bringing the aquifer back and turning it really into a Garden of Eden. You know, people get married and they've been there a long time, and so it's time to have some babies, and that is zone 3, and that's where the families of the Oasis will raise their children: high schools, sporting events, a small shuk for the local people. It is not a tourist destination. It's a private, quiet area. And then when your children grow up, they go to school and high school here in this area. We can watch them play soccer. You can see they can come in from Israel or Gaza. The next part of the phase is leadership. And that would be in this area, Sderot, along with the main transportation hub that transfers you from the Gaza subway systems into the subway and train systems of Israel, Jordan, United Arab Emirates. So it connects you with the rest of the world. But this is where, this is where transportation is. So trade schools, so you might want to go into trade. You know, this is the tech area. And then over here is the university. And the university is some really nice property because it is a few miles, like a mile or so from the beach. And it's basically it's this popular downtown area. I liken it to being similar to Dublin, where you have the downtown area and then you have Dublin University. So it's not on the beach where the main tourism hub is, but it's close by. So that's cool if you're a college student. Also, the Oasis nightclub, if they build it, would probably be here. And Oasis activities for youth, you know, nightclubs, youth events, etc., that would be here. Then finally, here is the tourist hub, and it's the pier. And that's where the day trips go and land. And hotels like the Trump Tower, if it was put in, would be put in over here. So we're not talking about greater Gaza. We're talking about in no man's land, which is not being used anyway, becoming a new pier. And what's interesting is this entrance here is what's called Erev 1 or 2. And this opening is, this is Erev 2. This is Erev 1. This is Nir. This is Kerem Shalom. And this is Rafah over here. So those are the main subway stops. They'll probably add additional subway stops over the years. But say you're hired as a worker and you live in Rafah, and you have to go and travel to Zone 4 for classes or for construction work. You would just travel along this MAX subway line. I call it MAX because that stands for Middle Eastern Alliance in conjunction with X, because Elon wanted to invest in this project. So, you know, you never know if anybody is listening, but I sent it to the IDF in November 21st of 2023. And then I also sent a copy to I also sent a copy. Oops. I also sent a copy to Jonathan Conricus, who was the IDF spokesman at the time, also wanted a copy to give to the IDF. And I'm an Israeli American, so that helps. And they were taking ideas from other Israeli, from Israelis. What do you think we should do? So when I saw that he was there on the 27th of November, and everybody had been sitting in the war cabinet reading my paper, and he was, I want to rebuild that is going to be similar to the Marshall Plan. And so it was only 2 pages, the Marshall Plan I gave, and they sat around talking about it. Benny Gantz liked it because it was about integration. And then they handed it to Elon. And I love the fact that they mentioned the 6 zones, and you can see them showing the 6 zones. It was very exciting for me. There's the map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rafah. There's Rafah. Yeah. Sound the drums. Yay, Whimsy. Work it, girl. Work it good. Yeah, baby. So we, I'm pretty sure, given the evidence, that that's what's going on. I feel pretty confident. Also, why would Jonathan Conricus keep talking to me? How you doing today? You still mad at us? Yeah. So I feel pretty confident at this point. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty confident that I got the gig. What I always say when I send Jonathan Conricus or anybody from the IDF, Netanyahu, Trump, Joe Biden when he was in office, I just say, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and this is one of those times. This is one of the times when the Lord worked in mysterious ways. Oh, in the help, separate places for the help to live? Oh, I don't know anything about that. Yeah, that's not what this is. That doesn't have anything to do with Oasis. Oasis is the best land. It's the creme de la creme. It is where all the money is going. It's the new houses. It's the best jobs. So it's also the best visa, right? So only 3 to 10% of the people that apply are probably going to be able to get into that program, but 500,000 will be able to get into Rafah, and the rest, and they'll be able to come and go as they like. But Hamas is a terrorist organization, and the people have to be separated from the terrorist, or they're going to continue to be terrorized, right? All right, so let's go ahead. Oh, I think they're acknowledging me now, because why else would Jonathan be flirting with me and love you, mean it? It's like, it's not every day when the former spokesman of the IDF is sending you love letters. So I think it's pretty, without saying anything, I think it's pretty obvious. That was the 27th. I got it to Jonathan on the 21st. I prayed so hard. I've never prayed that hard before. And I kept telling the universe, this has to happen. The other miracle that happened was when I found out that it had already been done 5,000 years before in Saudi Arabia, what is now Saudi Arabia. And that kind of freaked me out, because lo and behold, I'm an anthropologist, right? So I was trying to create oasis zones and a modern day caravan that would be open to the world, that would integrate people, right? And then lo and behold, just unearthed a 4,000-year-old walled oasis to shed life on ancient life in Saudi Arabian desert, had 6 zones and an ancient caravan system. It's like Gaza. It's like a strip of Gaza. And you can read this article inside the Oasis complex. You can look at that along the perimeter. It's got its own security. Yeah, this is where you go. So what was I channeling? You know, what the heck was going on there, right? How did that happen? How do you have this uncovered? And then you wind up with basically some crazy anthropologist, some nice Jewish lady who's a Bizala Meshugana. She's a little bit crazy. And then she winds up saying, hey, I had a vision, 6 zones. You think it could work? So it's crazy. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I don't know how I want. This is a case where the remote viewer winds up in the story, and it's where you get a remote view and they say, oh, to hell with it, and you throw yourself into the vision. So yeah, I saw it. I had a vision. I even had this, what I thought was an accident. I thought this was an accident. You know, I was drawing the thing and I accidentally closed a loop. And then I went through, I was working with Grok and I said, should we have a roundabout here at Sderot? Because I accidentally closed it rather than keeping it open. And the Grok looked at my design and said, you need a roundabout at Sderot so that you can do AI generated vetting so that everybody who goes through the roundabout, we have them ID'd through a computer system for the security of the area. I thought it was an accident, and it turned out that it was necessary to add additional security there. So it goes back to that whole idea of, what the hell is going on in this matrix? Like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, Muskrat Love. It must be Muskrat Love. Before he got into the ketamine. Yes, a cool guy who was going to save the world, building Oasis zones. He wanted to build these cities, and everybody was supposed to go green, and he wasn't a homophobe, and his daughter was trans, and he was living in San Francisco. Then I don't know what the heck happened. He went cuckoo barrel on us. Yeah, he was the darling of the Democrats, He was friends with, like, George Clooney was one of the first people to buy a Tesla. So it's like, what the hell happened, buddy? Well, let's do the empath's prayer. Would you all like to receive a reading today, a collective reading? Would that be fun? Let's go ahead and we'll do a collective reading. And then in addition to doing a collective reading, we will oh, that's a good question. Would it have materialized? I think they needed help. I think they needed help. A maze of people evolving from, the most basic needs to leadership, of the future leadership of Gaza with education. It's a maze of evolution for the people. So no, I don't think they could have figured it out, which is sad. They'd have things that they know that I don't know, but they needed to think outside the box. And and they needed I think they needed an anthropologist, and I think that they realized that. I think that they came to realize that they needed somebody that was not IDF, somebody that was an anthropologist that could think in terms of tribal integration, and when two tribes have a treaty, how does this work and why does this work? So, and then they have to do the security part. They know the security. They know where the tunnels are and stuff like that. All right. So if you would like to receive a healing at this time, go ahead and give us your name or the name of someone you love, and we will include them in our prayers today for healing. Last thing I want to mention is that we do have a fundraiser we're doing to help those people who are struggling with food scarcity right now. As you know, the SNAP programs have been cut and many people are struggling to buy food. So if you can afford to give a couple of dollars to feedamerica.org, I know that they would be eternally grateful. So again, please give us the names of yourself or anyone else that you need us to pray over you, and together we will pray for you. All right. Without further ado, oh, I forgot to light the candles. Let me light some candles and bring some light in here. Good to see you all here, by the way. Thanks for being here. We're going to lose the floor director. He has a movie to get to. So hopefully those of you who are moderators, Debbie's here, so I think we're going to be okay. And I guess unless Debbie has to take off. Okay, let's do this. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. And for those of you today who are requesting a healing for yourselves and for those you love, we come together and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And again, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. May all souls be healed. Okay, let's take a look and see what is going on for your future. What is to be expected in the week? I have no idea what's happening. Let's take a look. Thanks for being here, everybody. Much appreciated. What do we need to know the next week or so? That's vital to our health and well-being, to become happy. What do we need to know, Spirit? Okay, where we are at right now at this time is the Four of Cups and Chariot. It is important at this time not to compromise your values and ethics. We do have to be humble and sometimes take jobs we don't like. It's just part of life. Sometimes we have to do things we don't like. That's the Stoics way. Well, learn to eat lentils, right? The lentil soup of the Stoics, right? But Four of Cups is about temperance and saying no to there's an aspect of it where you say no to things that are bad for you, like turning down drinks would be an example, sobriety, taking offers that are bad for you, refusing to take offers that are bad for you. You have to decide what you're willing to put up with. The Chariot is coming, so many people could be choosing to leave the United States. They're moving to other towns. They're putting everything in storage, and they're going to go live in Mexico for 6 months, right? You have a Chariot card here as a karma, and it could be that this is the time in your life when you're saying no to relationships that are toxic, no to jobs that are toxic. But it's a time of being willing to say no to things and move on from things that are not good for you. The first house is, did I do that right? First house is the King of Pentacles. So King of Pentacles is business mode. We've talked about the fact that financially, we could be seeing a tipping point in August because a lot of what's going on is just trade wars, the drug problem. People got tired of me talking about trade routes 5-6 years ago, but look at where we're at right now. It's all about fighting for trade and all about fighting for trade routes. And that's the problem with America First. America First doesn't understand that you're getting your food supply, some of it from Ukraine. You're getting your computers are made in China. And so you have to have a good trade policy and a working trade policy, or it's not sustainable. You become like North Korea, where you are cut off from the outside world, and so consequently there isn't enough food to feed your population, etc. The King of Pentacles would indicate that we're headed towards business mode and we're headed towards becoming proactive about our finances. We can't expect anybody to save us. We have to save ourselves. And the crossing card is Two of Swords. There's this real rigidity here where everybody is saying enough is enough. The Four of Cups, the Two of Swords, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. It's about being about your business and shutting out the outside world to some extent. The negative aspects of the Two of Swords are that a person may be carrying a heavy load and they're not able to look around them and see what the possibilities are. So if you become too rigid, if you start turning everything down, you may be missing great opportunities. And what is above you? Stay close to your spiritual practice. Stay close to your spiritual practice. And Four of Swords is about going into deep meditation and trying to find answers for yourself. Try and avoid rigorous ways of thinking. You could be missing something that's of importance to you. You sit in a strong sense of self. When we think about the Spies card, who seeks knowledge and information, also associated with Archangel Michael. Class is at 5 o'clock tonight, Pacific Daylight Time, if you are an elder and an empath, and that will be class 3. We are talking about the mystical tarot. So if you're a part of that class, please be here at 5 p.m. sharp. It's a great class. I love teaching it. So hopefully I'll be there. But it's an air sign, and it has this aspect of cutting through the clouds and showing the truth. This is Michael's card in the sense that Michael fought with the sword. He beat the devil, the liar, right? The devil is the liar. So this truth is that you sit in. And there's a major transformation happening for you at this time. I see many people are very, very stressed out. But the great thing is that all the answers exist inside of you. If you go deep into the meditative state and you chant, you will be able to pull out of yourself the answers that you need in order to succeed in the direction you want to succeed in. But understand that your salvation isn't something outside of you. This is the person that finds the answers from within through deep meditation, and to not be so rigorous. You can see that Two of Swords may not necessarily be a good thing. Two of Swords is, put your head in the sand and and they're saying to do the opposite, that now may be the time for self-examination, self-exploration. Most of you present as very creative, artistic, and emotional people. The Queen of Cups is highly emotional and she rubs her lamps. So you do have dreams. You do have things you want to achieve. How can you connect to those dreams and create heaven on earth for yourself? Your biggest obstacle at this time is not poverty. Your biggest obstacle at this time is self-care and health. This is typified by Archangel Raphael. He's associated with the Page of Cups, who brings the elixir and heals people. Yeah, so your biggest threat is not poverty. You can do little things to bring in another couple $100 a month. Most of us can find something to do that's going to bring in, we can sit in a coffee shop and give readings for $20, right? Or donate a donation, and we can usually scrounge up a couple $100 that way. Or we can be a babysitter. There are so many ways we can scrounge up an extra couple $100 a month. The biggest challenge for you is your health. Your health is the bigger issue. When our health goes, our money goes, because to become sick is extremely expensive. And so we may be freaking out about the news, and we're freaking out about everything, and we're not thinking about our health, coronary artery disease, exercise, keeping our diet a simple, mostly plant-based diet. Today I'm having lentil soup, right? So be aware that your health is your number one priority. Focus on clean, simple living. I would recommend watching if you're concerned about your finances, I would strongly recommend checking out the YouTube channel Below the Median. Has anyone seen Below the Median? Let me see if I can find it here for you guys. I like them very much. I think that, they teach you how to live. They live below the median. They have a home and they're stable. They know how to make black bean burgers. They're vegan, so by being frugal. Poverty is associated with sickness, and frugality with health. Poverty, you can be poor because you're a drug addict, you smoke, you drink alcohol, and so you're poor. But then there's frugality, and frugality is associated with a sense of calm. I can do this. Being able to stretch everything, watering down the palm olive, watering down your dish soaps, coming up there are all these ways that we lose money, a nickel here, a quarter there, and by the end of the month you've saved a few $100s. So they do everything. They show you how to shave from every aspect of your life, from cooking to cleaning to buying your own property. And they did it on like minimum wage salaries, and now they have, like a 500,000 portfolio. So under the median, and I think you'll be really happy with what they're up to. And it looks like they'll be back tomorrow, I think at 6 o'clock for their next show. But check out Under the Median, and I think they will give you some great ideas. Yeah. So your number one issue is your health. That could be stress, anxiety, not cleaning up what you're putting in your body. I'm very excited. I'm having uh, lentil potato curry, and I made my own paneer. So I'm going to have sag paneer with it. Sag paneer. Yeah. And I can make my own chapati from hand, and I can make my own naan on the skittle. I can make naan. Yeah, under the median. Your hope and fear at this time is financial and getting jobs and work. Page of Pentacles. And your final outcome is know your strength, the Queen of Wands. Know how strong you are, that you are descended from, tough people, pioneers and survivors, and people who, look at what they lived on in Sweden when they would go and take their goats out to walk, right? And their sheep out to walk. They would gather the wild oats and the wild berries and mix it in with some fermented goat milk, and that sustained them, right? Muesli and yogurt, right? That was the first birthing of, and they still eat like this, right? Because it's good food, and then they would catch wild fish. So what more do you need? You got muesli, you've got fruit, you've got wild greens, you've got wild nuts, you've got wild fish. I mean, come on now. This is the good life, right? Learning to glean, learning to harvest from wild foods, learning to live below your means, renting rooms, or if you're worried about your mortgage, becoming the old woman from like It's a Wonderful Life, where in the alternate reality, she has a boarding home and she's got all these boarders living there, right? So these were things that people did. Like my grandparents, they lived in a house with 12 people and everybody had a little job, and they all made it work. And so there's always a way. The Queen of Wands demands her space and she demands her time. The Queen of Cups demands that she dreams, she invents, she creates, she loves. She often has the artistic inspiration. And so both aspects exist in you. There's a feeling of great betrayal, that our country has betrayed us, that we have been betrayed. The 10 of Swords. And the wound of being betrayed may be worse than the betrayal itself. It's that we believed in our country. We believed that our country was a good country, and we were lied to. We were betrayed. We relied on our government. We relied on Congress. We relied on people to take care of us that betrayed us. If you focus on your health, everything else will work itself out. So, you're going to be okay. In terms of what the hits I've gotten about jobs, a lot of jobs that are up are fake jobs. They're just not real jobs. Ask Nicole or Life with Nicole. What is the name of that channel? Also, I watch a lot of frugal channels. And one of the things she noted was that a lot of the jobs are fake. According to Nicole, the only way you're going to be able, if you're if you want to take care of yourself and you don't have a job at this time, your best bet is to look at working for a temp agency, because temp agencies tempt to hire. And you don't know if the jobs you're applying to are even real jobs. So, one of the things that she talks about is the fact that
do you remember
it's all fake, that they're just doing surveys and things like that. Like her latest one that she put out 5 hours ago,
it's time for the
is that most jobs are fake. So, and she gives an example. She opens up, some unemployment streams and says, you know what, these are all fake jobs. So you're wasting hours of your time, and they don't plan on hiring anybody. They just are collecting data on you, and you've wasted hours of your time for something that is not real. You're being used to collect data. So these are all fake. There we go with another commercial. Yeah, leave it to YouTube. They just put too many commercials in. But, and now we have to go through 24 commercials. Here's a fake AI generated commercial. Isn't it amazing how real they look? Yeah, so the point she was making is that these are all fake jobs. They're all fake. Every single one of these. So you've just wasted your time, and what you've done is you've sent it to AI, and they're just collecting information on who's applying for these jobs, but it isn't really a job. So the only way to protect yourself from wasting hours of your life on BS is to go directly to the temp agencies and call every morning. And then if you're working, a couple days a week, and then they usually go temp to hire. And some jobs will go for several months. And that's a great way to get your foot in the door, because then they know you, they've seen your work. But you can't rely on that, because you've sent hundreds and thousands of resumes to fake jobs just because people screw with you, and because you're nothing and nobody and just somebody to use and collect data on. So it's up to you, the Queen of Wands, it's up to her, and solid judgment lay ahead. But I think you're going to be okay if you look at self-employment options, things you can do on the side, whatever your proclivity is, whether it's babysitting or dog walking or house sitting or pet sitting or, some other side gig that you can do. And in addition, I would go straight to temp work. And they also offer free job training so that you can improve your skills to make you hireable. So when in doubt, there are two things that I would recommend, particularly with these types of cards. Go to temp agencies and go back to school. Those are the two options. School, you can get grants and loans, and you can also get work on campus for $20 an hour. So when I felt like my life was out of control, I just put myself back into school. Your judgment is sound. Don't be afraid to look at your situation. Don't hide from your situation, and put all your focus on self-care, self-love, and girding your loins, and take a hard look at your finances. Do an account and a reckoning. You want to have a piece of paper where what is my money going out? What is my money coming in? What debt do I owe? What is the interest rate? And get some control over it. And it feels so good to be able to live below your means and take control over your life. But there's a lot of this is just the feeling that we've been betrayed. It's just a sense of, I cannot rely on anybody. That's right. We cannot rely on them. We have to rely on our networks, self-care, and to be stoic, and to take control of our own lives. And if you do that, you will be okay. But they're saying the first thing you have to do is take control of your health. Meditation, yoga, consuming food that is the best for your life, like the book Eat to Live by Joel Fuhrman, where you are just taking control of every aspect of your life. And it's very empowering to do that. And if you do that, you're going to be fine. The economy comes around in spring of 2026, but we will see a housing crash this summer, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, they're not jobs. It's just AI collecting data on you. And now they've got all this private information and your resume, and they've done a psychological evaluation. We were never going to call you. It's not a real job. So you've spent 10 hours a day being basically molested by creeps that are collecting data on you. So the way out of hell is to rely on yourself and start your own side hustle. What can I do and what do people need? I know people that have just gone knocking on doors. Do you need your lawn mowed? Or they sit in a cafe and offer tarot cards. $20, 15 minutes. You do 4 or 5 of those a day, that's an extra $100 in your pocket. So save yourself. Do that, do a side hustle, and start applying at the temp agencies. Make sure to call them early, 5, 6 in the morning, and usually they can cut you a check the same day or within the week. That is your readings. But remember, first is your health. All right. It's called an account and a reckoning. It's a very old idea. It's what the pioneers did. They gave an account and a reckoning of every piece of grain. We collected so many pounds of the wood chips, and we have so much of the grain store, and our potatoes are ready to harvest. So every, rags can be used. Clothing can be repurposed. The rags can be used to make patches, or the rags can be used for cleaning. Nothing was wasted. Life was kept simple. And people learned to cook from scratch. They learned how to make rice. If I went to medical school, I was pre-med at University of Washington, and I was in a house full of medical students from China and Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. And each of them put in $50 a month. And then they bought 50-pound to 100-pound sacks of white rice in Chinatown. And then they would go and get some kind of a protein, like pork of some type. I wouldn't eat this stuff. And vegetables and a couple spices. And they hunkered down and they had their rice and their bok choy, and they were living on $50 a month. And nobody felt sorry for themselves. They understood that this is what you had to do to become a doctor. And then when they went back to China, they went in public health. They got involved in public health. So you needn't be afraid. You simply need to latch on to the tools of frugality, just as our ancestors did. And we never were supposed to be this wasteful anyway. We were never supposed to be wasteful. We were always supposed to live like this, right? Throwing 1/3 of our food in the trash. Yeah, I'm thinking I got some ground turkey, and you could also saute onions and ground turkey, and then cook the lentils in that. Add some potatoes and carrots, celery. Potatoes, carrots, and celery are like must-haves if you're home cooking because they can go in every soup. Yeah. All right. Without further ado, we will blitz, blitz, blitz away. If anybody has any blitzing you'd like to do, we can go ahead and blitz, blitz, blitz away. All right. Joel asks, how will the Epstein Files turn out? What do you guys think? Do you think somebody is going to leak it? I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk paid to get a hold of it so that he could leak it. But I think that that's really the question du jour, is what's going on with the Epstein Files? And is this going to be the thing that finally gets these people that voted for Trump to snap out of it? Their lives are not improved. They're not better off. And in fact, it's worse than ever because he didn't end the wars and he's not releasing the Epstein Files. So nothing turned out to be true, right? And they're starting to feel like they've been grifted, right? All right. The Epstein Files. 8 of Swords. You know, people put themselves in a paper mess, right? Red tape. They put themselves in this situation. So JOD, they've put themselves in this situation. The opposition is the King of Pentacles. The hopes and fears, theft, that things have been stolen or missing. And the final outcome is the FBI. There's going to be a leak because the Queen of Pentacles is holding on to hidden information. The King of Pentacles can be the FBI. It's the G-man. He's looking for the hidden stuff. And the FBI is the Queen of Pentacles. It's represented for me by the Queen of Pentacles. So it's interesting that there's a whole bunch of information that the FBI has because they made deals with Donald Trump. These people became informants, and but they've gotten themselves in a bit of a pickle. And I see them getting betrayed. They buried the case. You can see 4 of Swords, hopes and fears, the evidence, final outcome, Queen of Swords. There also could be lawsuits where we see people suing to get access to public records and wanting to know if this information should be released to the public. I mean, the bottom line is that those men were protected. The FBI buried the information, and there could be legal action. We want to know the names of the people that did this. Yeah. All right. So expose and legal actions. Whimsy, you keep talking about the mystery man. Could it be Sheldon Whitehouse? I don't know. I don't know if Sheldon Whitehouse is running for president. I do know that the King of Wands is very prominent as a future leader that takes on MAGA and wins and is probably our next president. Unfortunately, not a female. You can see this angry winds of war are around us at time, this feeling of civil war. The opposition is strong. That would be the Democrats. So you get this feeling also not just that they're trapped with this 8 of Swords, but that they're angry about the situation that they placed themselves in. And the opposition to them, which would be the 8th house, is rising in power. The hope and fear at this time, our Constitution and our ethics, and the final outcome, again, is the Queen of Wands. So you also see the rising of women because we're being attacked from everywhere. And this is we're headed towards the dark ages when it comes to women's rights, whether it's in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Pakistan, which is ranked 148 out of 148 countries for worse conditions for women. But now you have this growing love affair that people have with Iran, the Iranian government, Sharia law, etc. And the same thing happening here in the United States with Christian fundamentalism, blocking women from basic medical care. And so it's a terrifying time to be a woman also, particularly a young woman, because everywhere we look, we're seeing the rise of these fundamentalist ideas that are literally putting women back in, the Bronze Age, right? So we attract more people, 10 of Cups. So the Democrats, this is a good time for the Democrats to begin to attract more people, 10 of Cups. I don't see MAGA surviving, 8 of Cups. It dissolves into 3 different branches, like we said. You have the true devotees, Bannon and Trump, and that's not going to work out. You've got Musk, and that split is huge because he's talking about a real political party that could take anywhere from 2 to 4% of the vote. You do that in Texas, you're going to start losing some serious elections in the House, in the Senate, even possibly the presidency. And remember, Musk is in Texas. That could be devastating. And then you have the Tucker Carlsons, which are just basically Nazis, right? So it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And I think that the main thing I would suggest is women getting organized. Yeah. Scary times. Oh, yeah, we had fun. Saturday nights, Insomniac Tarot. It's a lot of fun. And you guys should try and make it. It's open to the public. We sing, we play, we give personal readings, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, so a lot of people are very concerned about what's going on with ICE and whether or not we are going to have some way of protecting people that have, it's almost like it's an assault on California, right? Yeah, it's an assault on California. Let's take a look at the future of the ICE raids. Magician, power, the opposition to the power, the women, 3 of Cups, organizing. So it's definitely, it's not just that the Democrats and the opposition is protesting, but they're also rejoicing. The 3 of Cups is to dance in the street. So it's joyfulness, the joyfulness of the movement. Coming back to the basics, right? Going back to the basics. There it is. Civil unrest. Civil unrest. The clarification here. We're going to the courts. It's, I always feel it's going to be death by 1,000 paper cuts. Judgment stands against them. You've got this strong, aggressive power, Pam Bondi, and then you have us rejoicing and going to the courts. So that's auspicious. The other thing is that they're going to have to register these people because of work. Be patient and consistent in your protest and work with the existing system. As frustrated as we are, we will get what we want. Yeah. They'll be stopped in the courts. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's what I say. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Yeah, dry eyes. I don't know. I think it was I don't know yet. I have to pee in a colander they gave me to collect Yeah, vinegar water is the way that the vinegar, that's how the Victorians would do it. And it just dissolves the calcium stones, and then you'll be able to pass it. And yeah, you can do hot compresses on the back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't give tension to that. Yeah, gotta have a conversation. I mean, it's a brunch. You guys want to hear me talk all the time? Don't you guys want to hear what other people here have to say? I mean, come on, man. I like it that you ask lots of questions. Yeah, this is a discussion. It's our brunch. It's not, well, I stand here and you listen to me. Now that would be a lecture, but no, I want to hear people's, uh, oh, an organic French roast to sip. Oh, that sounds lovely. Oh my goodness. That sounds absolutely lovely. Oh, Indonesia. We went to the earthquake. Uh, we went to the earthquake to locate it, which is something that you can do if you hear the earthquakes. If you start to hear that in your ear, that often means that it's pressure being released in the tectonic plates. And some people can hear it. They've actually proven it, I think. Animals can hear it. But for me, it sounds like when it starts to release. And you can see over here, Los Angeles, there was some quake activity that I was picking up on. And then we just go over here, and it tells you when it hit. Yeah. But there was another one. Yeah, 108. It was over here. 108 p.m. Yeah, it was pretty close, but there was another one in Indonesia. I can hear it. I can hear does anybody else hear them? It goes, it goes, when you hear that in your ear, you're probably picking up an earthquake. In case you were wondering that's what that is. And then if it's coming from my right, it's going over here or it's going over there. I'm trying to figure out, is it west? Is it off the coast? It's a cool skill. My cat will, I'll go, and my cat will look at me like she can hear it too. And then I'll say earthquake, and then, oh, it's earthquake. Yeah, what's the story with She? He's on the run. Let's take a look at She. I want to, seventh house will be She. His opposition will be the eighth. Let's see what we get. If you haven't had a chance to like, share, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Also, think about coming in for a reading or seeing me as a medical intuitive to get on a program. I am a naturopathic doctor, so I would love to help you heal yourself. Okay, let's take a look at She. Lovers. So, if he is in the cage, if he is in trouble, he is trying to appease people now. He wasn't trying to appease people before when he was arresting his colleagues and kicking them out. But now you have this nice energy of the Lovers card. Can we all just get along? So he is trying to get out of that cage. His opposition, I think there's a new, it could be a military coup because the emperor is somebody else in charge. So I don't see She remaining in charge with these cards. They blame him for the handling of COVID. They blame him for the economic collapse, etc. Look at that. I think he's really afraid. 10 of Swords. He's been betrayed. His own people turned on him. That's what happened with she. And then the final outcome for she is mastery. So he may be demoted, but they may demand that he fix what he broke. So he's demoted, and then he has to sit and do the work to fix the problem that you created, right? He's confused about how they got here. He was taken by surprise. They're extremely angry at him. They want him arrested, charged, and they hate him, the Knight of Swords. He was betrayed by the people that he trusted. It's about trade. It was about the collapse of trade. That was the main thing that he got in trouble with. They don't kill him, but he winds up in a very humble position. It almost looks like he's the paper pusher. Oh yeah, so fix it. So he goes into the Eight of Pentacles, where he may become the secretary to the next person. So he's never going to be what he was. Well, I'm an Aries, so yeah, it doesn't sit well with me when people boss me around. What is going on? Those cattle prods, right? So we did a remote view. How are they able to throw all these people out of windows? Because they, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. They dismantle them beforehand. They disarm them beforehand. They, by knocking them unconscious with a cattle prod. There's a good idea. A good new use for the thing that shocks them unconscious when they're going to be slaughtered. That's what they're using. A bull prod to knock the wind out of them, and then when they're unconscious, they throw them over. That's how the executions are happening. Isn't that fun? Can you imagine doing that for a living? Putin, is he going to be out a window? He is completely confused. Looks a lot like she. Him and she are both leaving. Isn't that right? Okay. The opposition is a new beginning for the opposition to Putin. Hopes and fears, whether or not he can't get anyone to cooperate. It's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And people are just walking out. His fear is that people will no longer follow his instructions, and that's actually what's been happening. And the final outcome is Ace of Swords, victory for Putin. What do they mean by that? Victory for Putin? The devil, he will not let it go. He will not let it go. He must have this. He's got the emperor, he's got the addiction there, confusion and addiction. And I always feel an addictive energy with Putin. His opposition is whispering, family legacy, the hopes and fears, betrayal, being cheated on. Over his victory, he has poverty. His desire to win has impoverished his country. But I'm going to win. Our country is in shambles. Our economy's been destroyed. There's nothing left, but we're going to win. Yeah. Okay, taking all of Gaza. Well, it's probably going to be overseen by the Abraham Accords, because you have people that are having children in Gaza because they want them to be they want them to die as martyrs. It's a death cult very similar to what we saw in Japan with kamikaze. Let's look at the future of Gaza. I know what I want, but let's see about the future of Gaza. What do we see for Gaza? Stress right now for Gaza. 9 of Swords. War is hell. The opposition is offering peace. The hope and fear is the King of Cups. And the final outcome is the star stands over Gaza. There's going to be a peace treaty. The emissary of peace is the Knight of Cups. There are people that don't want peace. You know, the King of Cups, he's the bridge over troubled water, and a star. I think it could very likely be the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and other countries coming in. Great financial investments are coming in, looking to the horizons, looking to trade, partnerships in the future. And I think a lot of people are going to be lost and confused because everything that they were told and raised to believe turned out to be a lie. So there's also a feeling of moon, like what the hell was that? All the lies they were told, right? You know, they're raised to kill Jews, right? So, and then it's the war is over, and who's feeding you and building you a humane society? The Jews. So you've got also this feeling of confusion and depression. It's like when you realize that maybe your parent is abusive, or you come out of an abusive relationship and you have to come to terms with the fact that it was not what you thought it was. So there's also this grief over what was, and how, you know, it's like they're getting out of a cult. They're getting out of the Hamas cult, which is, you know, Sharia, which is Shia Islam, right? Extremist Shia Islam. So there's also a sense of grief about it. Now there's another fatwa. They've tried to assassinate Trump a couple of times, and now there's another fatwa. So we can go ahead and see if they're going to continue their fatwa against Donald Trump. If you've donated to our charity, thank you so much. It's going to buy groceries to supply food to people in need, and much appreciated. Thank you. Fatwa against Trump, poverty. Opposition, Six of Cups. Hopes and fears, the Ali Khamenei, and the final outcome is 10 of Cups. I see good things coming to Iran. Also 6 of Cups. I don't see Trump staying. There's a poverty card, but look at how great the cards are for, you know, it's the people are going to have a new Iran. What's with this? Trump cards are awful. Yeah, Trump is doing bad. Poverty. The country is broke. You know, I mean, people are losing their homes because of these damn trade wars and stagnant wages. Oh, they're going to take the weapons of war away from Ali Khamenei, 5 of Swords, and a 6 of Cups. They're going to go back to that which they loved. So I think we're going to see a new Iran. The Shah could leave. Ali Khamenei could leave. Not the Shah, I mean Ali Khamenei could leave. He's got an exit there. And over the new beginning, he's leaving. The Shah leaves. He's given an opportunity to go into exile. Well, if I were him, I'd think about Russia. He doesn't have many allies left, you know. I don't know. What do you guys think? What's your feelings about all this? Not exactly. That's kind of not the truth. She had $600 worth of flour. And no, what we're doing is that the food was being stolen by Hamas. And then after they stole the food, they were selling it back to the people for $15 for a pound of flour. And it was supposed to be free. So they created humane corridors to distribute the food so that it would go directly to the people. And then Hamas began firing on the people. And that's the problem with the aid centers, was that, you know, it's very hard to get rid of Hamas because Hamas is holding Israeli hostages. So it's the thing that has power over Israel. So if Israel goes into Khan Yunis, where we think the hostages are being held, or Jabaliah, then they will immediately kill the hostages. And so we are trying to get our hostages back. But I'm Israeli American, and I was actually there at the time, and was one of the people that was getting bombed. There's a lot of lying going on by Hamas. And what's scary is it isn't just that there's a lot of lying by Hamas, but the fact that so many networks and newspapers are listening to Hamas data and not from the Israeli data. In fact, 97% of the data coming in, they're getting from Hamas, which are the terrorists that engaged in October 7th. And so the other thing you have to realize is that everything that they're accusing Israel of, the great irony is that that is actually what Hamas did to the Jews. For example, they claimed that we chopped the heads off of babies. Then, it got published as a fact and nobody bothered to do an investigation. And then they found out that we were not chopping the heads off of babies, but these people were chopping the heads off of babies, and they were raping women, and they were engaging in massive abuse of women, all of which was filmed live. Here there's a, child's bedroom. So they invaded, they attacked, they took 250 hostages. They assaulted a lot of women, and it was a bloodbath. And then they took our hostages into Gaza and continued to fire rockets on us, something like 50,000 rockets. Was it 5,000? Was it 5,000? I think it was 5,000 rockets, excuse me. And 1 million Jewish people wound up losing their homes. We were pushed out of the north. So people aren't getting the facts. They're just regurgitating Nazi propaganda. And they're good people. The people that have been regurgitating the Nazi propaganda, they really believe that we are the Hamas and that the Hamas is the victim, because Qatar, which funded Hamas, owns Al Jazeera and is the mouthpiece of Hamas, and they have relationship with the BBC. And then you have something called UN Watch, where we're watching the UN because the UN has been compromised by something like 40 countries that are pro-Hamas, many Arab countries that want to kill all the Jews, exterminate the Jews. And so you have a UN where a large percentage of the people in the UN, Pakistan, which has no rights for women, Russia, which killed 1 million of its own citizens, but no one's screaming in Europe about the Russians when they sit at a restaurant. I know, but if you're a Jew in a restaurant, because it's become popular to hate the Jews, it's the new Gucci. And people are not doing their homework. They're not fact-checking. They're just regurgitating this Nazi propaganda because they want to be popular with their friends. And they truly don't know anything about the situation other than what Hamas tells them. Yeah, like the thing about the aid centers and the fact that Hamas was opening fire and killing Palestinians that were trying to get food because they wanted to control the food and make profits off the food. Hezbollah, for example, which is a proxy army from Iran, makes most of its money as drug runners. They are a drug syndicate, and they're funded through the drug syndicate. They're basically the drug syndicate pushing heroin out of places like Afghanistan to fund their war against the West and against the Jews. So there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah, they're being shot, and a lot of the time the film footage is showing that the people doing the shooting are Hamas. In fact, I think we have film footage of that. It's scary out there, because it's scary because, and the thing is that it just goes to show how easy it is to turn people into Nazis. you know. We think that we're so much better, and we think, oh, I could never become a Nazi. And unfortunately, that is what's happened. And so when people get upset about when people get upset about what's going on in the New York race, and they don't understand, well, why don't you like the Free Palestine? We don't understand, Whimsy. They really don't understand who has taken over and who these people are, and the relationship between the Nazis, because Hitler brought Nazism to the Middle East.
I want everyone to know how much I fucking hate these Zionists.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
There you go. He's not scared. He's not afraid of his own opinion. There you go.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine! Nazi salute!
Hell Hitler, he's a chief, he's a gangster. I wish he raided all you guys, bro. And the world was in a better place.
To our people. I think Hitler was onto something.
Oh, there we go.
Why every so many hundred years the Zionists get slaughtered? Because Hitler knew how to deal with these people.
Hitler was right about y'all niggas. These dreidel spitting, yarmulke wearing, kibbutz inhabiting, genocidal fucks.
They should be all exterminated.
Thank you.
Every single one of them. And their kids, their mothers, their children, everybody. Just like Hitler.
Thank you.
Final solution is coming your way. The final solution.
It says Allah is gathering all the Zionists for the final solution.
Go back to the oven! You need a big oven, that's what you need!
Okay, so we don't want that. And that is the problem. And we always want to do our fact checking. Right? So, what is going on at the food distribution places? Well, who benefits from not letting them get the food? Hamas. There's plenty of film footage you can see. Oh, look at the kitty. Oh my goodness, that's a cute kitty. They're kind of proud of themselves. That's the other thing that's kind of weird. But here's another. They jump on top of the food that's being distributed. When we were bringing food in and just letting them take it, they would take it. Here they are on top. They get on top of the food, the people, and they steal it with guns. And then the people are denied the aid. And it's a problem. It's a big, big problem with that kitty. Let me see about some more here. This is, they're getting weaker. Hamas is getting weaker, but it's still a big, big problem. See, gun. It's just randomly opening fire on anybody who's trying to get to the food. And then they will take the food and sell it on the black market. So Hamas is getting food, but the people are not getting food. Oh, he just shot that person. Very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Okay. Any questions about that gruesomeness? Yes. Yeah, but it's not the same red heifers as the Bible, which is probably related to the African buffalo. It's just an American breed that they call the red heifer, but it's not the same thing. Well, they can pass all the purity they like, but they're not the same heifer, so who cares? It's a European heifer that's been, and it's not red, it's orange. So, I mean, none of it's real. So it's just a fantasy, and we know it's a fantasy, so not many people are taking it. It doesn't meet rabbinical, meet rabbinical standards. Well, all you have to do is fact check. I mean, what I recommend people do is just fact check, that way you can find out for yourself. I can tell you as an Israeli, I don't know of any Israeli that would support killing children.
Heard a lot of propaganda about violent attacks in and around the GHF sites here. It's all lies generated by Hamas in order to discredit the GHF. The Hamas hate the GHF because the GHF delivers aid directly into the hands of the Gazan people without being seized by Hamas and sold at a profit. Very many of the people behind me here have told me it's the first time they've ever received free aid. So don't believe the propaganda that's been churned out by Hamas and amplified by too much of the international and national media. I'm Richard Kemp here at one of the Gaza humanitarian foundations.
Okay. I need to go eat. Yeah, well, everybody hates the Jews. It's popular. Gucci. I want to be popular. I don't know anything about the Middle East, but everybody is free Palestine, so it must be true. And it rhymes. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free of what? Free of Jews. It must be true because it rhymes. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you need to see me as a doctor or for a reading, you can find all the information below. Thank you so much for your love and support of the channel. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. Get your information. Make sure it's not from Hamas. All right. Thanks, everyone. Love and light. We'll see you next time. Bye.